participation of teen athletes in sports has grown for its 32nd year straight to more than 7.8 million athletes. This encompasses all 50 U.S. states, race, gender, and socioeconomic status. The top sports played are football, with an estimated 1.1 million students playing. The most common played sports, including female and male athletes, is basketball, with the fastest growing sport is women's lacrosse. Other sports that top the list are track and field, soccer, baseball, softball, water polo, volleyball, and swimming. Sports present many benefits for teen athletes. They help control healthy weight, develop healthy tissue and bones, reduce risk of disease and some cancer, builds mental health, and builds relationships by bringing together peers from different schools, backgrounds, and communities. To be a good athlete, they must also learn how to take care of themselves. Teen athletes are less likely to use drugs. Some of these benefits are long-lasting, such as one study showed. Women age 40 and older were found that those who exercised roughly 80 minutes a week as teenagers had a 16% lower risk for death from cancer and a 15% lower risk from all other causes. Participation in team sports during the teen years had almost as strong as an effect. Health concerns for teenage athletics. Sports come with their inherent dangers, putting the athletes at risk for injury. The most common reported injuries being sprains, strains, fractures, contusions, and concussions. The top 3 sports for concussions are football, basketball, and soccer, with 7% of these concussions happening within the 13 to 15-year-old range. Football, basketball, and soccer are responsible for the most injuries reported from ages 13 to 19, with football at 390,000, basketball 385,000, and soccer in a distant third at about half the number with 173,000. Growth during the teen years puts the body at a higher risk for long-lasting injury. Heat illness is also noted, as 2/3 of all athletes show up dehydrated to sports events. There are resources and practices in teenage athletic population. Most states require a physical exam before participation in sports. This physical exam is a checkup to assess a teen's health and fitness as it relates to a sport. It is not the same as a regular physical, but during the sports physical, the healthcare provider looks for any disease, injuries, or things that can make it unsafe for the participation in sports, while reviewing the family medical history and ensuring additional tests are done. Many schools offer these physicals, and some offer minute clinics where they can find healthcare providers to take them through this process. Healthcare in form of nutritionists, dietitians, sports performance coaches, physical therapists are only there to those who can afford them. While up to 25% of public schools in the U.S. do not have a school nurse, 47% of the schools fall short of the federally recommended nurse-to-student ratio, and fewer than half the U.S. public schools have a school nurse on site at all school hours every day. Health concerns for teenage athletes. There were 163,670 young athletes seen in the emergency department for concussion, which is more than 8% of the 1.3 million youth sports-related injuries reported, meaning every 3 minutes a child is seen in an emergency department for a sports-related concussion. Some of the most common ER visits are for sprains, strains, fractures, contusions, concussions, lacerations, dislocations, but also lifestyle and nutrient deficiencies become apparent as dehydration is rampant among this population. Health beliefs of teenage athletes. Research suggests that athletes have two body images, one in sport, one outside of sport. This leads them to compare against society, but also teammates and competition. Researchers call this competitive thinness. Teenage females also deal with another aspect, having an athletic build. This tends them to exacerbate body image concerns that conflict. Many feel that their bodies are too muscular for teenage athletes through the sport-specific training that they go through. There were 163,600 the stronger, more muscular body can facilitate sports performance, which is more than female athletes feel the 1.3 million with regards to obtaining sports-related injuries than ideals. Meaning, every 3 minutes a child is teenagers report using steroids to increase athletic performance. Some of the most common ER visits are for sprains, strains, fractures, macro and micronutrients are needed to support the growth of teen athletes, but also fast, low-quality food can lead to health issues in these athletes. Social cultural factors that affect teen athletes. Mass media, marketing, peer pressure, and stress. Media has a large influence over the teen population. TV, movies, music, magazines, and advertising reinforce unrealistic, idealized, stereotypical portrayals of what teens should be like. For young women, this is young, beautiful, and thin. For males, this is buff tone, which emphasizes fitness and muscularity. One report study showed nearly 47% of 13 to 17-year-old females wish they were as thin as fashion magazine models. Let's use the example of Rebecca Smith. Rebecca is a 17-year-old soccer player honor student who is also a member of her ASB student body. She has the high pressure that comes with keeping up grades, plus long hours on the field. Pressure to maintain Media's ideal body image, but her energy demands are also high due to her sport, and without proper hydration, nutrition, and conditioning, she is at risk for injury that could affect her health long term. She has the school trainer and her coaches to consult, but even with the proper guidance, she must apply herself to the necessary discipline to respond to the demands of her sport and school. Culturally competent healthcare for Rebecca would come in the doctor's needs to clear her for competition, running any necessary tests, labs, screening to weed out risk factors and find family history. The training staff and coaching staff should pass along any necessary information on hydration, energy needs, micro and macro, not only for sport but for a teenage female to have success. Time and stress management should be done with a trio of parents, teachers, and coach to ensure successful planning with possible sport academic conflict.